And there is no better way to get ready for Ohio State's spring game than to go straight to the source. Head coach Ryan Day joins us from Columbus. Hey, Ryan, let's start with the spring game. What kind of format should the fans expect to see on Saturday?
Hey, Rick. Yeah, we're going to start off with Bud with the ones, and we'll do that for 2 drives. And then the twos will be out there, and every time they're in the game, it'll be live. So for the remainder of the game, it'll be live. It'll be offense versus the defense to make sure we have great rotations going, and we'll play for 4 quarters.
That's exactly what the fans want to see. I know they'll be looking forward to that on Saturday. Of course, fans always want to know what's going on under center as well. Everybody does. That's the case basically each and every year. We understand Devin Brown's not going to be able to play on Saturday after having a procedure on one of his throwing fingers. What does that mean for Kyle McCord, Tristan Gebbia, any other quarterbacks that may get some snaps on Saturday?
Yeah, more snaps for everybody else. Devin had a very good spring, played the majority of the spring, but now will not be able to play in the game. And that's disappointing for him. I know he was looking forward to that. And there's something to playing a game in the shoe, and that's what this is all about. And so excited to see Kyle and Tristan and some of the other quarterbacks get in the game, along with a bunch of our young players who haven't done it before. Anytime you're in the shoe and you have an opportunity to play, it's an opportunity that you have to seize and grab onto because it is different. It's not like practicing in the Woody in front of your teammates and a few recruits. It's in the shoe. And so our guys worked hard this spring, having a great spring, and this is how we're going to end it.
What has that quarterback competition been like so far in the spring?
It's been back and forth. Good days on both sides, very competitive. I think being in year 3 and year 2 for Kyle and for Devin has been great. We haven't always had that here. A lot of the situations we've had, guys have been in, been in here year 1, 2, a couple times we've been into year 3, but rarely. And so it's been good to see them take what they've learned in previous years and be able to put that on the field, but also different because when you're the backup or you're working with the second team, it's a lot different than when you're the starter. And, you're relied upon to make plays on third down. You're relied upon to move the team down the field. You're relied upon to make passes in the red zone and finish off with touchdowns. So that's been great to see, and it's been a great competition.
Ryan, in a somewhat perfect but also realistic world, when would you like to name a starter for opening weekend?
Well, would have liked to have maybe done it here at the end of spring, but I don't think we're there. I think it's been too close of a competition. A lot of good days on both sides. So that'll continue through the summer. And we'll look at the first day of August as practice number 16 as we just continue from the spring. And we'll do the best we can to evaluate it. And, these things take on lives of their own and, guys separate at different times. So either way, we'll continue to work hard when we get to August and be ready to play our first game against Indiana. And we'll go from there. Not sure how it's going to look at this point. But I will say, I'm excited about the quarterback room. I think we do have good quarterbacks in there, and they're challenging each other.
Have some great backs in the running back room. It was a weird year last year having to move guys in and out because of injury. And I know your top 2 guys, the known commodities, haven't seen a lot of action in the spring because they're still getting healthy. But what have you seen from the rest of that room?
Well, like you said, there's only 2 months between the end of the season and the first practice in the spring. So it's a great opportunity for us to get guys healthy and get some procedures done. We did that with Trey. He's going to be doing some individual on Saturday. We'll have a 10-minute individual period before the game starts for some of those who can do the individual drill. So great to have him back on the field. Won't be playing in the game, but feel good they'll have a full summer and be ready to go in August. Mayan Williams did some really good things this spring. Great to have him out there. Dallin Hayden and Chip Trainum both, I thought, have very good springs. Looking forward to get Evan Pryor back. But feel good about that room in terms of our depth. Probably the deepest we've been in terms of running back, the running back room in a while.
Ryan, the best returning receiver in the country, in my mind, is back in Marvin Harrison. What he did last year in the Peach Bowl was just simply mind-blowing. How much does he, like others before him, warrant play calls or game plans that quite simply feature him as a game breaker?
He's very talented, as you know, but I think what he's done really well is mesh that with discipline and skill. And that's not always easy when you're really talented. But he is very talented. He has great discipline, and he's got great skill. It's kind of become something that I think is pretty well known as his work ethic here at the Woody. When you come in the morning, he's catching jugs. When you go home at night, he's running routes, and we got to throw him out of the building. But, he wants to be great, and I think it's going to be fun to watch him play in the fall. But also the other receivers. Emeka Egbuka had one of the best seasons of any Ohio State receiver in the history of the school last year. He's somebody that isn't going to play in the game on Saturday, but had a shoulder surgery. He looks great. Same thing with Julian Fleming, Xavier Johnson, and then we have some other young guys that have stepped up that we will see on Saturday.
That's kind of the silver lining, isn't it, to what happened with Jackson last year? I know you would have loved to have had him on the field, but so many other guys got the opportunity and the challenge to be the guys who had to make big catches in big situations. Now you have them more experienced coming into 2023.
And the same things happened in the spring. So guys like Jaden Ballard and Carnell Tate, Noah Rogers, some of these guys have had to come in and play with the ones here this spring. So like you said, what happened in the fall, we're going to see those things get paid off, this year, hopefully, in terms of experience. And those guys have great experience coming into the season.
Let's go to the offensive line, Ryan. I know that Paris, DeWand, and Luke are big holes to fill, yet I've read some of your quotes and listened to some of the things that you've said throughout the spring and after those guys left in the fall, and you seem pretty confident in the group that is coming back. What is still left to be determined up front?
Well, the guards are returning starters, and I think that they've done a nice job this spring. We have to replace both tackles in the center, and that's not just something that just happens overnight. This is something that's a work in progress. Josh Fryer, Tegra Shabola, Zen, and then at center, Carson Hinsman, Vic Cutler. We're trying to find Enoch Viamahe. We're trying to find out, who these guys are going to be for us, because we got to find the 5 best. And we're replacing some really good players, and we're only as good as our offensive line is year in and year out. You win the games up front. So this is an area that Justin Fry has done a very good job with this spring, but it's also going to be important over the next few months as we come out of the spring to identify the areas that we have to improve at and continue to make that room strong.
Obviously, the transfer portal always going to be a big story. I look at your defense and I look at two of the biggest transfer portal gets on the back end in Davis and Igbinosun and Jihad Carter. How important are those guys, especially when you consider that Jim Knowles' scheme puts a lot of responsibility on guys in the defensive backfield?
Yeah, that's right. A lot of versatility back there is what's needed. We added some pieces. We're all a year older, a year or two into the scheme. So we'll find out, when we get into the fall. But we're seeing some great things. I think that it's going to all start up front with our guys. Defensive end and defensive tackle, having Tommy and Steele back are critically important. But like you said, we had some breakdowns in the back end last year that cost us some big plays, and so that's been an emphasis for us. But I've been encouraged by what I've seen. I think, like you said, the addition of Davison, Jihad, and some of the younger guys has helped. But also, you think about Lathan Ransom and Josh Proctor, both of them were coming off of broken legs the year before. And so now having a full off season and being year 2 into the system has helped. And there's been some good days out of practice with the defense.
Ryan, you mentioned Tommy, and I'm glad you did. Those of us in the Big Ten, certainly those who followed Ohio State, know what he did last year and how outstanding a season that was. I think nationally, he still remained underrated. How did he take the step that he took from the previous season to what he did last year, and how does he continue to improve in 2023?
I think the first thing was he decided to come back. He could have gone to the NFL, but he felt like there was a lot of things that he could get better at, really master his trade. And so I give him a lot of credit for that. I also feel like, he feels like he's got some unfinished business. And so his leadership is going to be critically important, but his experience and his ability to have an impact on the entire defense, being the middle linebacker, you're the quarterback, you get everybody lined up and you're kind of the eraser. And so when you get into, year 4 and year 5, you start to almost see things happen before they happen, and you begin to anticipate instead of react. And I think having that experience and then Steele right next to him, again, with a lot of snaps under their belts, again, is going to be really important.
Ryan, we saw Jack Sawyer last year as a combo linebacker rush end. Now, my understanding is this year he's probably going to be more up front in that rush edge position. How does that kind of change what you expect from him? And honestly, what's the upside if he plays to his potential?
He's got great potential, and he has focused more on just playing defensive end, although he can do a lot of things. He's very versatile, very athletic. But I think the thing that, I challenged him with, and he's trying to embrace is being the toughest guy on the field, because he has that trait about him. He's been blessed with tremendous talent, and he's building that discipline and skill in his life. And because of that, this is that third year, and for a lot of guys, that's the year that guys really take off. And if he continues to improve the way he's done that this spring, then this could be the year he takes the next big step.
Ryan, mentally, no one needs to be reminded of where the countdown clock stands. They know it. No one needs to be reminded of what's happened the last couple of years against Michigan. So mentally, from a head coach's perspective, where are you in terms of understanding that the pressure is always going to be in Columbus where it is, and the expectations are always going to be a national championship, but there is certainly that game at the end of the regular season that is circled on everyone's calendar?
Yeah, it's like that every year, as you know, but certainly coming off of the last 2 years, it hurts, it stings, it's not going to go away. It's something that we've always worked on year round. We'll continue to do and identify the things that we need to improve at. And whether it's that game or the game against Georgia, we have to identify the things that cost us the game. And so we've worked hard on that. Not unlike any other year, but it's hard to swallow when you have to sit on it for a whole year. But our guys certainly have been working hard this offseason, have identified that every play, every practice, every day matters. And when you're in matchup games, certainly in the rivalry game, if you lose 2 or 3 of those plays, it can cost you the game.
All right, lastly, Ryan, I know you got a busy day with a monster-sized coaches clinic taking place in Columbus. Where are you on the decision-making process in terms of play calling? There's been a lot of conversation. I saw an interview with Gene Smith as well, talking about the debate as to whether you handle all of the play calling or in some fashion delegate some of that to Brian Hartline.
It's been great this spring to be able to take a little bit of a step back and focus on recruiting, focus on some of the quote-unquote CEO duties of being the head coach here at Ohio State. But as we get closer to the season, and I could even see it happen a little bit this spring, I'm just going to find my way navigating back into the meeting rooms and over to the offensive side of the ball. But trying to do the best I can to oversee everything. But at the end of the day, my heart's on the offensive side of the ball, and we'll all be very involved. I think we have a good young staff on offense, so we'll keep working towards what that looks like. But we have some really good minds over there.
Hey, Ryan, part of being successful is knowing exactly who you are and what lane you should be in, right?
Yeah, I think so. And part of it, though, is making adjustments year in and year out. Going into year 5, you're in a different place than you were at year 1. And so quickly trying to identify that in the offseason and making those adjustments, I think, is important in growth.
Always great to catch up with Ohio State head man Ryan Day ahead of this weekend's spring game at the Shoe. Kicks off noon Eastern right here on Big Ten Network. Ryan, truly appreciate the time. Enjoy the game this weekend.
Thanks, Rick.
Mike Hastings was officially hired as the new head coach of the Wisconsin hockey program just a few weeks ago. Hastings comes from Minnesota State, where he did unbelievable things. Minnesota State had 2 20-win seasons in the 16 years prior to Hastings' arrival. He accomplished that every single year. As a matter of fact, as a head coach, he has never had a losing record at any level. And the new head coach of Wisconsin hockey is kind enough to join us on this edition of Big Ten Today. Mike, first and foremost, thanks for being with us and welcome inside the Big Ten.
My pleasure. I look forward to what's in front of us, and I appreciate you having me on.
All right, Mike, I'm going to start with full disclosure. Now, I've been told by a spy who I actually have on staff here that you're not just one of the great coaches in college hockey, but one of the all-time best storytellers. How much truth is there to that rumor being spread by Paul Caponigri, who actually played for you well back in the day at Omaha?
Well, first of all, I should apologize to Cap to having to go through that that journey with me. Young coach trying to find his way and some good, some not so good, but I was fortunate in my time in Omaha to be surrounded by players as talented as Cap, and I've been able to continue that relationship and actually watch him on the Big Ten Network and follow him a little bit, so I look forward to the opportunity of seeing him a little bit more.
And I know he does as well. Mike, I mentioned the success that you had at Minnesota State, and I know over the past decade you've had other opportunities. There have been programs that have been interested in taking you away from Mankato. So why was Wisconsin the right program at the right time for you to make the move?
Well, I'm learning, and they're being reaffirmed in my short time that I've been in town. I think Wisconsin's special. I think Madison's special. The outpouring from the other coaches at this university, at making not only myself but my family feel welcome about being a part of a family, and that's been something going all the way back to when I was coaching Cap, has been important to me as a coach. That my family comes first, and then after that, our team's our second family. And I really feel in my time that I've been here in just a short time compared to the long-term vision that I've seen at what has happened at the University of Wisconsin was a really good match for myself and our family.
You did build something really special in Mankato. A lot of Minnesota State fans were on Twitter after the announcement, and not just saying that they'd be sad to see you go, but just rooting for you at the next level. You knew that was there in that community, and you were obviously very tight with those players as well. How hard was it for you to leave the program?
Probably one of the more difficult conversations I've ever had as a coach. I'll go back to when COVID hit the first time, and having to walk in the locker room and tell that group that their season was done. That was one of the more difficult times, and then the one that happened that I had to get in front of the group and tell them that I was making a decision that was best for my family. Now, through the recruiting process with every one of those young men, I told them that my family was going to come first. I was hoping that that was going to be what the situation was with them when they were coming in, but then after that, our second family would be the group that would be on our team. And so having to tell them that I was going in a different direction was very difficult. But hopefully the journey that we were on together in the time that I was at MSU, they really feel that we as a staff, myself included, took care of their best interests both on and off the rink.
Speaking of that staff, I'm guessing that the transition becomes much easier for you as a head coach because Todd Knott, your assistant, comes along with you. After he turned down the opportunity to be your successor, he's considered not only one of the best assistant coaches in the country, but one of the best recruiters maybe in the history of college hockey. How critical is he to the success that you hope to have in Madison?
Well, I think he's a real important piece to this, and Todd had some opportunities before the opportunity to be the head coach at MSU. That was a goal of mine in the time that we were together because of the opportunities that he had allowed our program to go through because of his work, because of the players that were around and the relationships that he built. And when he chose to come to Wisconsin with me, I think it's a very big piece to hopefully our success and soon our success in what we're doing recruiting and building the relationships with the players. He's been in town with myself, and we've been spending time with our athletes so that we can make sure that we're going to serve them as best as we can. And he does a really good job in the recruiting trail, but I think one of his greatest gifts is the core human being that he is and what he is as a father, a parent, a friend, and really what he can provide for these young men to understand what it takes to be successful, not just on the hockey rink, but in life.
Mike, I know it all can't be mapped out and perfect, but what do you envision the next few months looking like for you, Todd, and the rest of the staff?
Well, we're hitting the recruiting trail this weekend. I think that's always, that really never ends, so that's a big piece. But most importantly is putting our arms around the group that's here and trying to provide some direction for them on what our plan is and making sure that we're going at it together with them because they're the most important people in this entire equation. Our athletes, the combination of what they can take from this great university in the classroom, in the community, the alumni, and focus on the big picture, not just what's going to happen for them hockey-wise, and hopefully provide a plan for them that they can get engaged in. And our group's done a really good job already. I'm excited about the short-term vision that we've had and hopefully the long-term results.
Mike, for those who didn't see your teams play in the C or the W before that, how would you best describe the style of play that you would like your teams to play and how it ultimately should translate into the Big Ten?
Well, hopefully we're a puck possession team. I think if you've looked at our analytics over the years on goals for, goals against, special teams, things that coaching can have a little bit of an impact on, I think we want to be a team that's difficult to play against. And as a player, and we'll bring Cap up again, I know he didn't get half as tired when he had the puck as when he didn't.
Sounds right.
So as much as we can possess it, we want to. And we want to be connected. We want to be in a group that all three zones, we've got 5 people trying to help each other out. So be somebody that's very difficult to play against. And I think a big part of that is making sure you possess a puck as much as you can.
Hey, that's not just the case back in the days in Omaha. I think that's still the case at Johnny's Ice House down here in Chicago when he's skating shitty on Sunday morning with the fellas. Mike, I know coaches don't get to watch a lot of other teams, a lot of other programs. You're getting your team ready throughout the course of the season. How much Big Ten hockey did you get to watch, if at all, this year, and what was your takeaway if you got to see some?
You know what, I get an opportunity because the other M is up the road, and with some of the game times being a little bit different than what we were playing, I had an opportunity to watch quite a bit of the Big Ten. And at the end of the day, you look at it, who's playing in the most important time of the year, and you look at Michigan and Minnesota and the teams that were playing at the Frozen Four and the style of play. I think it's outstanding hockey. It's outstanding hockey to play. It's outstanding hockey to watch. We're trying to develop student athletes for life, but also their goal is to try and play in the National Hockey League. And the amount of talent that is in the Big Ten, not only that is here, maybe some of it leaving, but the ones that are coming in, I think is just going to continue to grow the brand of Big Ten hockey. And I think it emulates the level that we're trying to get to as players. And I think that the mirror images are pretty unique. And I think that the opportunities for these young men to come and utilize what the Big Ten offers is special.
All right, Mike, you land in not just a town that's been voted one of the best college towns in the country, but a city that I would argue has some of the best food and drink options in the entire U.S. How much have you been able to enjoy any of the eateries in Madison? And are you getting advice from folks up there in Madtown about where you need to go when you finally get settled in?
Yeah, the list is long. We haven't been able to get to much of that just because my wife and I are trying to find a place to lay our head at consistently and find a place to live. But a little bit. Staying at a hotel that's not too far from the Kohl Center and being able to get to know the guys a little bit. And I'm not going to say I'm going to be going to the same eateries or the same areas, the watering holes that they're at. But for me, my experiences here in Madison started a long time ago. And I'm looking forward to what I've seen here just in the last couple of days where we've had some weather that's a little bit over 70, 75 degrees, and to see the buzz that's in this area. I can't wait for football. I can't wait for basketball. I really can't wait for hockey. But this place shows very well, and I can't wait to experience it.
I think a marriage that both parties very happy with. Mike Hastings, the new head coach at the University of Wisconsin. Mike, we truly appreciate the time. Look forward to getting to know you a lot better over the course of the next few years. And, of course, best of luck as you get ready for your first season behind the bench up in Madison.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
All right. We are back with today's big stat. What a year it was for Iowa women's basketball. Most wins in program history, making the national title game for the first time ever. A second consecutive championship at the Big Ten tournament. Caitlin Clark winning, well, you can read it on the screen, basically every award. I think the Clark family is going to have to build an addition on the house just to put all these trophies in. And to talk about not just the year in general, but her team and women's college basketball, we are so excited to be joined by head coach Lisa Bluder. Lisa, you've had a week and change to reflect back on not just the Final Four, not just the postseason, but the year as a whole. What are you most proud of in what your team accomplished?
I think it's really just the women on our team and the bond that they have, the belief they had in each other, and really kind of the joy that we brought to the state of Iowa and hopefully beyond. I think I've heard from every state in the union, just really to bring joy to so many people that really got behind this team and felt attached to the team. That was really special.
What about the Final Four experience specifically? Obviously a first for pretty much everybody that got to go down to Texas and take it all in. The fan support was phenomenal. The support nationally was amazing for women's college basketball. What was the entire experience like for you and the team?
It was kind of a whirlwind, to be quite honest. But it was wonderful to feel the support that we got from all over the country, but also like we go to Seattle and all the Hawk fans that made their way to Seattle, and we go to Dallas, and it was amazing to see all the people that really gave up a lot of their time and finances in order to get there to support this basketball team. So that was really rewarding. I think there was a lot of fun experiences, but certainly when we arrived to Dallas from Seattle, we never went home in between. And when we arrived, it was late and everybody was tired on Monday. We had a long travel day. When we got off and stepped onto the tarmac, they had a Final Four party set up for the team with a DJ, dancing, photos areas. And I think that was one of the things that really surprised us. And like, wow, we're really here at the Final Four. This is a really special thing.
And special, that national semifinal. I'm not sure I've ever gotten more texts or messages from friends who cover the Big Ten after any game in any sport than I did after that win. When you try to reflect back and look specifically at that Friday night when that buzzer sounded, did you realize in the moment how seismic that win was for your program and for women's college basketball as a whole?
Yeah, I'm still trying to get through all my texts and emails and such as well, Rick. So, we were probably the only people that believed we were going to win that game. The people in our locker room. I know a lot of people lost a lot of money on us in Vegas, but we always really believed we had an opportunity to beat South Carolina. So it wasn't so much a surprise for us, but it was joyful. I mean, it was just so much fun. And to have that happen, to do something as special as beating a team that was the defending champs and was all year long ranked number one, and that really nobody believed you could do it. When you can accomplish something like that, it's really special. And I'm not sure that it's completely set in at this point yet.
I want to go to the post-game press conference after the national title game. You were sitting right next to Caitlin Clark when she was asked a similar question to the one I just asked you. What are you most proud of? She didn't talk about points. She didn't talk about wins. She said, I think now I've influenced little girls across the country to believe that they can do what I have just done. As the head coach who's sitting right there and listening to those words come out of a player's mouth after what had to be the toughest loss of her career, do you remember what you felt in that moment to hear those words?
Goosebumps. I mean, really, Caitlin is so mature beyond her years, and she understands that she is the face of women's basketball, and she understands the platform that she has to create good, not only for little girls, but for little boys. And honestly, up to 80, 90 years old, I've heard from people that have said they've learned a lesson from the way that our team responded in victory on Friday night and also in loss on Sunday. So, I told my team after that game, we would have all loved to have won that game, but maybe we can do more good by finishing second. And that's just the lesson that we've tried to embrace, as we came home and as we returned to campus. And Caitlin is just unbelievable at her ability to influence young people in a positive way.
We touched on your team's fan support. It really was, for lack of a better term, crazy no matter where you guys went. What do you think that says, not just about the style of play that you employ, because that's really fun to watch, but kind of about the general likability of the players that were on your team?
I think both of those things are crucial. I think the style of play, I think we are a fun team to watch. We're, pretty offensive minded. We enjoy putting the ball in the hole. But really, I think people feel like they know this team. They can relate to this team. I think that they see the passion and the joy and the team camaraderie that this group plays with. And I think people are attracted to that. We need something positive right now. There's so many negative things going on in our country. And I think this was something that people could get really behind and enjoy and want to celebrate with us.
You said that Caitlin was the face of women's college basketball. I would argue that this year she was the face of college basketball, men's or women's. But when you look specifically at the women's game and you have players like Caitlin, like Angel Reese, like Aaliyah Boston, Haley Van Lith, Paige Beckers didn't even play this year. We're truly in a superstar era of women's college basketball. Is this as good a spot as the sport has ever been in?
Absolutely. We think that, the Big Ten Conference, I think, really helped to grow women's basketball nationally this year, because of the network, because of the great coaches we have in our league, because of the fabulous players. But you see attendance growing all over the country, certainly at Iowa. I think we finished second best in the nation in attendance at over 11,000 per game, and our last 3 games being sellouts in Carver Hawkeye Arena. Right now, we had to pause renewals on season tickets and taking new season tickets because we've quite honestly outgrown Carver Hawkeye Arena at over 15,000 people. But we see it happening everywhere we would go in the Big Ten Conference. Indiana having sellouts and everybody really reaching new highs. So I think the Big Ten Conference really needs to be proud of our women's basketball teams and that we are really kind of setting the bar around the country in support for women's basketball.
Lisa, I would be remiss not to touch just for a moment on the controversy that took place at the end of the national title game. And I know that folks see that through a lot of different lenses. Some folks saw that as a racial comparison with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Some folks saw it as a gender comparison. That's kind of more what struck me in the sense that I think if that happens in the men's game, certainly in the pro men's game, it's just considered trash talk. It's not considered dirty or nasty. Do you feel like as the popularity of the sport grows, we're maybe getting a little bit closer to viewing men's and women's sports through, if not the exact same lens, at least a more similar lens?
I think we're getting closer. I think you saw at the end, though, that we're not there yet. And maybe we'll never be there. And that's okay. I don't think it has to be compared identically between men's and women's basketball. I think we are different. Women and men are different. They're different in the way they act. But it was unfortunate that really it kind of brought a little bit of a damper on something that was so we should be really celebrating with our game. And instead, people kind of focused on the wrong thing there. I would rather focus on, LSU was a very deserving champion. And I think we were, it was a historic season for us. Even though we lost in the championship game, it's something that Iowa women's basketball has never done before. So quite honestly, I just think we focused on the wrong things.
Yeah, that's really well said. And I heard your comments post-game and Caitlin's a few days later in which she said, I have absolutely no problem with it, so I'm not sure why anybody else does if it was directed towards me, and I'm the one that doesn't have an issue. I know it's been really busy for you since that national championship game. You've been out west, helping Caitlin win one of the 10,000 awards I think she has taken home this year. A lot of other responsibilities along the way. When do you actually get a chance to sit back and enjoy what you guys accomplished?
My husband and I are actually going to get away next week after the evaluation period, and I'm really looking forward to just maybe sitting by a pool and reading a book, and I'm sure we'll pop a bottle of champagne or two.
And then I'm sure when you're back, the scouting starts for next Big Ten season because the league is once again expected to be the best women's basketball conference in the country. How do you, year after year, get ready for that? And how much does that motivate someone like you who's been around the game for a while to each and every day get up and be ready to go to work against the best competition out there?
When you love what you do, it obviously becomes a lot easier. And when you think you're making a difference in people's lives, and I think that my staff and I are making a difference in the young women on our team. And we hope that we impact the rest of their lives, not just the 4 years they're here at Iowa, but really for the rest of their lives. And so when you get to have an opportunity to do things like that, it's easy to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. How much have you had that discussion with your players? Obviously, star players like Caitlin, I think players like Monica, who have been around for a while, really understand that. But did you and your staff take some extra time to remind your players of what they did accomplish, not just from a wins perspective, but the way that they've kind of changed the viewpoint of women's college basketball and how proud they should be of that?
Well, it's something that we are certainly going to celebrate. Saturday is our banquet, and we'll certainly be celebrating some of those factors at the banquet. Honestly, our players have gotten it back into class and trying to catch up on all the homework we missed from being on the road for 2 straight weeks. But there'll come a day that I'm sure, not only this year, but I want them to understand that 20 years from now, when they can bring back their children, to Carver Hawkeye Arena, that they'll see those banners hanging up and those trophies in our locker room with their name on it and say, yep, Mom was a part of that.
All right, Lisa, I do want to finish with one player who is gone, and that being Monica Czinano. We were really excited to see her taken in the 3rd round of the WNBA draft by the LA Sparks. How excited are you to watch her future, which, by the way, she says she hopes includes both the WNBA, playing overseas in Hungary, where her family is from, and maybe even med school, a bio major that was a terrific student at Iowa?
Yeah, Monica's got great dreams, and I'm so happy to see her drafted by the LA Sparks, and for her to have the opportunity. We put every woman that's drafted in our program, we have their picture in our locker room. And the first thing she said to me after she was drafted is, now you'll hang my picture in the locker room. So that was a small thing that she was really excited about. But, I'm excited about her not only with LA Sparks, but just really for her to spend time in Hungary, where her father is from, and being able to have that, and certainly to never give up on that dream of going to med school. She will be a fabulous doctor someday.
Lisa Bluder, head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes, coming off an historic year for the women's basketball program. Lisa, we appreciate the time. I hope you truly enjoy that well-deserved vacation by the pool with your husband.
Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it.
What a year it has been for the Michigan women's tennis team, coming in at number 6, getting ready for the end of the regular season with a pair of matches coming up this weekend. And ahead of those matches, we head to Ann Arbor. Ronni Bernstein, the head coach of that team, is with us. All right, Coach, you are just 2 wins away from finishing off an unbeaten regular season in the Big Ten. So far, I think you've outscored your opponents 39-6 in conference play in terms of total points available. Just how dominant has this team been?
Well, certainly we put ourselves in good position here. We've had a great start to the season and to the Big Ten season as well. The girls are playing well. We're feeling confident. We're taking it match by match. And obviously we have a big weekend ahead of us here.
That weekend includes Penn State and Ohio State. And I know you're worried about Penn State because that's first on the schedule, but you always worry about Ohio State if you're someone who wears maize and blue. You did play and beat the Buckeyes earlier this year at the National Indoors. Anything you take away from that into Sunday's regular season finale?
Yeah, we know them well. We play a lot of events that they're in. We already played them this year, so we do know them well. But certainly we're not taking Penn State lightly on Saturday. They're a great team coming in, and we cannot look ahead till Sunday. But, we just are going to take it day by day, excited about the opportunity, and just going to compete and fight for it, and we'll see where we land on Sunday.
Coach, I'm interested in the philosophy of scheduling, especially in the non-conference, because when you look at your non-conference schedule, tough's not a fair enough word. You played North Carolina, they were number 2 at the time. Oklahoma was 4, Virginia was 7, Florida top 20, Oklahoma State top 20, and you played them twice. Pepperdine was top 25. I'm going on and on. What's the philosophy behind such a tough non-conference schedule?
Yeah, I try and give us the best opportunities to get into the tournament at the end of the year and face the toughest competition we can going into the Big Ten season. And it worked out well for us this year. We were stacked with that non-conference schedule, and we did a good job getting a lot of good wins early on, which have set us up here in the position we're in. So, we're looking forward to the, finishing off strong this weekend. We're playing with confidence and just looking forward to the postseason as well.
How much of a selling point is that as well to players coming in when you tell them you're not just going to play in the Big Ten, I'm going to have you play against some of the best programs in the country outside of ours, outside of this conference?
Yeah, I think it helps bring kids in here. They know that we're going to play a schedule that's loaded. They're going to be challenged every day. And we're, hopefully going to be in the tournament and people are going to be talking about us at the end of the year. So we do that every year. It's not anything different that I did this year. I'm going to challenge us early. And hopefully in January, we're ready to go. But this team has, done more than I could have asked for as far as putting us in a position here to excel here at the end of the year. And you just want the opportunity to be, in the tournament and advancing at the end. And hopefully we're going to be playing our best tennis in a couple weeks.
At number one singles, Jaden Brown has carried a heavy load there. Kari Miller has also played on that court. They're a combined 11-3 on court one. How much of a luxury is it to have that kind of strength at the top?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they're on my team, certainly. But yeah, I think the beauty of that is they play so differently as well. They have different styles. So when you put them out there, they're tough to get ready for because they're so different. So, we're fortunate that we have that opportunity to move them, on those top two spots. They've done fantastic for us. And I feel like any team in the country that we play, we're going to have an opportunity there.
Meanwhile, in doubles, your most used court two pairing is Julia Fliegner and Lily Jones. And on that court, they are 13-2 as a pair. What has made them so effective together?
Well, I'd like to say coaching, but I don't know if that's it. They've known each other for a long time. I think our team, we have a lot of kids from the Midwest. Kari and Jaden as well grew up playing doubles together. Julia and Lily as well. So they came in really having a good feel for each other as far as their game style and playing together. So I think it's a little bit of coaching, but those guys complement each other well on the court, and they've done fantastic for us.
Michigan men's team is also terrific. How much do the men's and women's teams feed off each other's success?
Yeah, we're really close, the programs. Adam Steinberg and I are close. He does a great job. They're one of the best in the country as well. I think the biggest thing that we've tried to take from them is their energy. If you've ever watched them play, they play with such passion and compete so hard. So we've taken a little bit of that, but our teams are close. They root. Adam roots hard for us. We're rooting for them as well. But I think, it's fantastic here at Michigan to have the two teams get along so well and root for each other and work hard for each other.
Ronni, for those unfamiliar with your own playing career, you were a top 30 doubles player in the world in the late 80s. How much have your players seen of your playing career on whatever video outlet they may be using? And has anybody ever had a conversation with you about it?
Yeah, I don't know that video existed too much back then, but they don't even know that they can't believe that I played, I think. I don't know that they know that much about it, to be honest. I don't hit very much anymore, but I think just me playing before, I think they do know that. I think it helps them on the court. They know I've been there, I've done that, I've been through what they've been through. But as far as my playing career, it doesn't get brought up that much.
But I'm sure it also helps you because you've been in situations that they are facing on a match-by-match basis.
For sure. I get the pressure of it. Even this weekend, it's a big weekend for us. We can't look past Penn State. I've been there before in these situations. We just got to try and stay as relaxed as possible. Both teams are going to feel pressure. If we're both undefeated on Sunday, it's going to be a lot of pressure on both teams. So it's going to be whoever handles that the best. But yeah, I think, my background, you can kind of know what to say sometimes on the court. Also, our assistant coach, Taryn Fitch, played at Stanford, had a great pro career as well. So the girls know that we played. I think they trust us, and hopefully we're helping them on the court.
Ronni Bernstein helping us set up what should be an amazing final weekend in Big Ten women's tennis. Coach, truly appreciate your time. Best of luck this weekend against both Penn State and Ohio State.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me.